We're reading Race Woman, Shirley Graham Du Bois by Gerald Horn, and we're reading the chapter called Crossroads, and we're almost through with this chapter. So let's get into it. Late in life, Shirley Graham recalled that she had grown up in a family where politics were not discussed. My father usually preceded the word with the adjective dirty. Certainly, she had an abiding interest in Africa early on, but by all accounts, her turn to the left only began decisively during World War II, under the twin pressures of her tumultuous wartime experience in Arizona and the death of her son Robert. Her son David recognized this transformation while he was in the military, serving in the Philippines. He noticed that all of a sudden his mother began sending him issues of the Daily Worker and another left wing publication, The Compass. And I found her to be very actively involved in the left progressive movement of the mid 40s. I think one of the important influences was in the person of the writer Howard Fast. He had been very instrumental in assisting my mother in getting published. He encouraged her really in her writing. Biographies for young people of color. He was very influential in a circle of intellectuals and writers into which my mother was introduced. Soon Graham was to be found in deed and word in a tight embrace with the much reviled U.S. left. In Adam Powell Jr.'s newspaper People's Voice, she enunciated her evolving philosophy. Every writer owes a responsibility to his readers, to all the forces and events which have brought him to the place where he now stands, to the surging masses all around him, to history and the people who come after him. Again, she referred to her own role in masculine terms. However, her coda remained relevant to male and female writers alike. The revelation of character, she concluded, is the prime and most important function of the creative writer. Characterization is the core of the good novel. She who had done so much to obscure her own character revealed the core of the character of her writing in these few words. She had found a form of writing, popular biography, that allowed her to incorporate the best elements of the novel while creating a story grounded in fact. In revealing the character of figures like Douglas and Robeson, she was simultaneously communicating political ideas that soon were to be denoted as subversive. As her notoriety as a writer increased, she became even more valuable, she became even more valuable to a political left that was rapidly being smothered by a miasma of anti communism. However, the African American constituency to which she owed her primary allegiance was less influenced by this rightward turn, not least because this turn was often championed by those who pioneered in ever more innovative Jim Crow practices. Boy, remember when black people used to just sustain writers and thinkers? It's amazing. The black boxer Joe Louis, for example, who was not a communist but reflected a viewpoint that was not unique to himself, later recalled that Graham's colleague Paul Robeson did more for the Negroes than anyone else. Robeson went to Russia in 1936, and he said this place is better for the Negro than in America. More opportunity, better treatment. What happened was the American politician got mad and said it was a lie. Ralph Bunche is a result of that. They gave him a chance after that. The heavyweight champion was not singular in feeling that desegregation was a Cold War imperative, driven by the influence of the much despised left. Of course, then, as now, critics charged that the U.S. Communist Party, with Graham and Robeson, were presumed to have joined, was solely a creature of wily Stalin, fueled by Moscow gold. But then, as now, dispute raged as to the full extent of civil liberties deprivation in the Soviet Union. Just as dispute raged about the extent to which communists were subsidized by Moscow, this dispute about basic understandings made it easier for budding Reds to resolve doubt in favor of the party and then dismiss doubt as resulting from imperialist propaganda. Moreover, Graham was being influenced by Stalin, by stalwarts like Robeson and Fast. It was difficult for a political novice like herself to imagine that her knowledge was more expert than theirs. A photograph from 1947 pictures her with two of the major influences on her, communist leaders Pete Caccione and Fast, flank her at a rally to save the Communist initiated publication New Masses. This photograph neatly conveyed an idea of the political company she was now keeping. The same year, the House Committee on Un-American Activities listed her as a member of a number of so-called communist fronts, including the George Washington Carver School in Harlem, where she served as a faculty member, and the Committee to Aid the Fighting South, of which she was the vice chair. The purpose of the latter grouping was to furnish aid to the Southern Negro Youth Council and to battle against white supremacy, to help finance the Southern edition of the Worker, and to aid the communists and other militant forces in the South. These were not the kind of causes guaranteed to win favor in Washington. I'll show the pictures. I'll show the pictures later when I'm finished. Right. Race Woman by Joe Horn. Until next time, try to stay safe, try to stay sane, and remember, it's a thought based life for us.